Hey, SteadyOn here, and this is going to be a tutorial on using Region 3 in Roblox, which is it's a thing to use to create a cubic space in which you can find parts or people, etc. like that, right? So there's a lot of reasons why you might want to use this, and I've looked on YouTube, there aren't really any tutorials teaching you how to use it. So here we are. Okay, so let's start off with some basic Region 3. Okay, so the way Region 3 works is that it takes two 3D positions. So as you should know, parts have a position in 3D space, and therefore if you want to draw out a cube, the easiest way to draw out a cube is with two parts. Well, not sorry. Two positions, right? We have two positions, and I'm representing these positions with parts. Now you might say, how do we draw a cube with two parts, right? Well, sorry, keep saying parts, with two positions. So it's really simple. If we look at it from above, so obviously when you're looking at something in 3D, it has 3 dimensions, which means that there's 3 axes. There's the X, Y, and Z axes. So if we look at it from above, we can easily draw a square like this, because we know it's a square, we know it's 4 straight lines on each side, and then we look at it from another angle, straight on like this, and we can draw a square like that, and then we look at it from another angle, and we can draw a square like that. So this is essentially how Region 3 works, because you could, if you wanted to, take 4 parts, right? You could take 4 parts, and you'd have a square. You'd have a complete cube. You'd actually have to have probably 8 parts for each corner, but it gives you the exact same cube. So this is the sort of basics of Region 3. When you want to create a Region 3, you have to use 2 positions. And we can look at this on the wiki. If we look at this picture here, you can see that it's created using 2 positions. So we've got 1, 1, 1 and 9, 9, 9. So let's just quickly try that out. So I'm going to create a new script into a script service, and we'll call it Region 3. Oops, what am I doing? Yeah, we'll call it Region 3 test. Okay, and now Region 3s are created just like any other object in Roblox. So we're going to define a variable. So we'll say local region is equal to, and then we want to create a Region 3. So to do that, you say region3.new, and we're going to have 2 brackets because it's calling a function. And remember those 2 coordinates to those 2 positions, we're going to want to put those 2 positions in between these brackets. So it doesn't really matter the order, but just for testing, let's say the same as it is in that picture, 1, 1, 1. But obviously we're not going to do it like this because it's a vector 3. So a vector 3 is a position coordinate. So we're going to wrap this 1, 1, 1 in brackets, and then before it we're going to say vector3.new. So we're creating a new vector 3 object. So now we've just got 1 position. We need 2 positions for this to work. So we'll create another one, vector3 new, and let's make the cube 10 studs big. So we've now created a region. But if we run this in the game, which I'm not going to do because it's kind of useless, nothing will happen. It will just do nothing, because we created this region, but regions have no visual, that you can't see regions. But we can visualize regions by creating a part. So for the sake of this tutorial, so we can see what regions being drawn up, we're going to make a new part. And so the part is going to be instance.new to create a new instance, and a part is an instance. So in these speech marks, we'll put part, and we're putting it in the workspace. So game.workspace as the second argument. So now we've created a part in the workspace, but we haven't actually related these 2 together. So all that will happen is there'll be a part in the workspace, and there'll be a region created that we can't even see. Oops. So firstly, we're going to want to anchor the part, of course, and then we're going to want to make the part the same size as the region, so we can visualize what the region looks like. So regions do have a property called C-frame, which you might have seen, but the property only gives you the rotation and the location of the region. So here we're actually going to use the size property of the region. So we're going to say part.size is equal to region.size. And we've just taken the size of this region and we've made the part the same size as it. But now we need to put the part in the same place as the region. So to do that, we're going to say part position. Sorry, actually we'll say part C-frame because the property returns a C-frame value. Let's say region.C-frame. So what we've done here is we've got the C-frame, which is a position and size value, and we've set the parts C-frame to the region C-frame. The reason we've also set the size here, you might be wondering why we set the size if a C-frame is a size and position value. It's because this region.C-frame doesn't return size. I'm not sure why they did that, but it doesn't return size. So you have to use the size property as well. So now you'll see that if we play the game, we can see this is the region that we've created. So throughout this tutorial, I'll visualize the region with a part, but it's important to realize you don't actually need a part to use Region 3s, and you shouldn't have a part because obviously it just adds lag to the game. There's no reason to have it. The reason we're going to have the part, is to show what region's being highlighted. So I'm also going to color the part just so we can identify it more easily. So part color is equal to color3 new, and we'll make it red. And we also want to make it transparent. And we also want to be able to walk through it, so we can walk inside it and see if it detects us, etc., etc. So let's say part can collide equals false. Okay, so we've now created our region. What's some uses of what are some uses of Region 3s? Why might you want to use them? Well, let's say you have a specific place in your game and you want to see if the players are within that place. You want to see if there are any players in that place. So you can do a certain thing to that player, or you can, I don't know, maybe kick them out of it if you're doing something where players can't be in a certain area of the map. So how do we do this? So Region 3s have a lot of different functions, you can call on them, and these functions will return lots of things. So let's start off with the most used one, the one that people are going to use the most, which is going to be finding the parts within your region. Finding the parts within that region you've created, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say local parts is equal to, or actually we call it parts in region because it's the parts in the region we've just created. And what it's going to be is workspace. Weirdly, we use workspace for this, not the actual region itself. It's a bit weird, that. Workspace dot find parts in region 3, and then we're going to put two brackets because it's a function of workspace. And the first argument is going to be the region we created, and then the second argument is going to be whether we want to ignore a certain instance, so a certain part from this search. So we've just created this part over here, and we don't really want to detect that part because it's kind of, we don't care about it, it's just visualizing it. So for this we're going to say we don't want to scan for this part. So it's also, it's actually a property for, sorry, it's actually an argument for, it's called ignore descendants instance, which means that anything within this part will also be ignored. But since we're just ignoring this one part, and we've only created a part, there's nothing inside the part, we're just ignoring the part for now. Okay, and if you are having problems with this, if you can't detect very many parts, or it's not recognizing parts for some reason, this third argument might be your problem. You can set the maximum number of parts that this property will detect. So let's set it to 1,000. Okay, it's very unlikely we'll get 1,000, and also you probably shouldn't set it to 1,000 if you want your game to not be too laggy, and you shouldn't really be able to detect 1,000 parts because it will lag if you're doing that. But we'll set it to 1,000 just to avoid any bugs that might happen from detecting too many parts. So what we've done now is we've detected what parts are in this region we've just created, But we're only doing this once. So if a player walks into the region, it won't re-detect that person. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to continuously check to see if there are players within the region. So we'll make a while loop, which is a repeating loop. I have a tutorial on it somewhere, if you can find it. I might put an iCard up in the top right. Maybe, I don't know, it might be there, it might not be. So we're going to create a loop. Now obviously there are a lot of problems with what we've just done. So firstly, we haven't yielded. So let's yield first. So we're going to put a wait, and we could just leave it as a wait here, but what that would mean is that this happens very, very frequently. It happens all the time, and this is quite an intensive function, especially if you're using it in lots of different areas. So instead we're going to wait 1 second. So we're going to check every second to see if there are players in this area. But also, we're not actually doing anything. We're just getting the parts in the place, but we're not actually doing anything with those parts we've got. So let's see if any of the parts are a player. So this returns a table, and tables are iteratable, so you can iterate through the table. So to do that, we're going to use a for loop. So we're going to say for I, which is the iterate variable. It's the number. It's the parts number, which is actually relevant here, but I'm putting it here just so it makes more sense. It returns an array, which is a type of table. In Roblox Lua, arrays are tables. It's not like that in most programming languages, but in Lua it is. So we're going to iterate through all the parts. So we'll say part in pairs parts in region do. So now we're iterating through all the parts we've just detected. And what we actually want to do is we want to say whether or not the part is a player or not. So we're going to say if part parent find first child, and we know that every player's character has a humanoid object inside it, which does all the name above their head and it does their health and everything. It essentially makes their character into a player's character. So if they have a humanoid in their character, if the part we've detected, if its parent, i.e. the player's character, if it is a character, has a humanoid inside it, then we know it must be a player. So we're going to say if it's not equal to nil, as in if it doesn't not exist, that's a bit confusing, then we know there's a player there. So we'll print player found in region. And we may as well also print the player's name. So we'll say part parent name. So let's quickly test this out. So now, if we walk into this region, we look in the output here. There's an error. Let's see what's happened. Oh, sorry. It's a function, but I put a dot there for some reason. Not sure why I did that. Obviously, functions use colons, not dots. Yeah. So let me just make sure I haven't done that anywhere else. Yep, good. Okay, let's go back to here. And there's no errors. So it should be now continuously checking for players. If you walk into here, it says player found in region, SteadyOn. So it knows we're in the region. If we walk out again, you can see it's stopped detecting it. So it's working pretty well, right? So what should we do now? What do we want to do if a player is in a region we don't want them to be in? Let's say we want to push them out. Yeah, we want to push them out of the area they're in because they shouldn't be in there. Well, firstly, you might have noticed that this fired 137 times, which is a bit more than we want it to because the player only went in the area 4 or 5 times, right? But it's detected it 137 times because it's taken all the parts in that player and detected them as a player. So essentially it's thinking there's 137 players here when there's really only one. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to create a table. So we're going to say local players found is equal to here, and this table is going to be a dictionary. So once we find a player in the region here, we're going to say players found, and then part parent name, i.e. the person's name, we're indexing this table we just made here, is equal to, let's say, true, right? Because we found that player. So now, once we've done all this, we have a table of players found in region. So we can do whatever we want with this table. What should we do with it? We could set the player on fire and then kill them. Should we do that? Let's do it, why not? Okay, so effect of being in region. Just, if you didn't realize, these double line and then text things are just comments, which means that they're just there to read. They don't actually have any effect on the code or anything that happens as a result of the code. They're just there to help understand it. So if I come back to this later on, I can tell what this code does by looking at these comments. Okay, so now we're going to iterate through the players we just found in the region. So we're going to iterate through this table we've made, players found, and we're going to say player dot, well, what are we doing? So we want to make the players, oh, sorry, just realized what I've done wrong here. So maybe we should set this equal to the part parent, as in equal to the player's character. So what we're doing here is we're saying add player's character to table. So we now have a table full of players' characters. And this is going to be char, and this is player name. Because we can see here, we've set the index to the player's name, and we've set the character to the player's character. Sorry, we've set the value to the player's character. So we've got char, which is the character, and we've got player name, which was the index we set here, and it's the player's name. So let's now, what was it we said we'd do? We said we would kill them, and we'd set them on fire first. So because there may be more than one player, we're going to spawn this so that it does them all at once. It set everyone on fire at once. If you don't know what spawn functions do, there should be an icard in the top right now. If there isn't one in the top right now, you might have to search through my videos. But I do have a tutorial on spawn functions which you can look at. Essentially what it does is it starts a process which runs alongside any other process that's been spawned. So spawn function, we're going to put some code in here which sets the player on fire and then kills them. So we take the char, which is the player's character, but we're not actually going to need that yet. First we're going to create the fire. So local fire is equal to instance new, because we're creating a new instance, and that instance is going to be fire, and we're going to put it inside this char variable we've got here, char.humanoid root part. Humanoid root part is a part that every single character will always have. If you have a humanoid, you're going to have a humanoid root part, otherwise your character will be destroyed. So we're going to say fire intensity, wait, I can't remember how the properties of fire, let me just check that. Fire, oh, I'll put it inside here. Oh wait, I'll put it inside here. Oops, I just deleted the base plate. Don't know how I did that, but I did. There we go. Let's have a look at this. So we've got fire dot, let's see, size. Let's do fire dot size is equal to 20. Yeah, so we've got a massive fire in this player. And we could just now do char humanoid take damage, char humanoid dot max health, and that would kill the player. But we don't want to do that yet because all that's going to happen there is they're set on fire and then they die immediately. But we want it to burn a bit, right? We want them to be on fire for a few seconds before they die. So we'll give it 2 seconds before they die. And that's it, we've done it. But I think we want to be able to see the fire a bit better. So we'll put it on a transparency of 0.9 instead. So we can see the player a bit better. We can also still see the region here, see? So now if I walk into this region, you can see I get set on fire. And then I die. So, we've done a lot of stuff with regions here. If we want to make the region a bit bigger, let's do 100, 10 times bigger than it was. We can just make it much larger. I did put the right amount of brackets there, right? Yep, I did. See? Now I'm already on fire, and I only just spawned in. Now, of course, remember, this doesn't need the part here. The part's just here so we can visualize it. So let's try that. I'm also going to move it along a bit because I'm getting set on fire as soon as I spawn in. So we'll move it a bit. Let's just test that quickly. Oops, I did it the wrong way. Not -10, just 10. Let's have a look at that again. There we go. Nice. Okay, so let's take away the part for now. And we can see, I'm just commenting it out, so that means the code won't run. I'm just doing that so we can use it later on if we want to add it back again. But now, if we spawn in, you can't actually see the region, but of course it's a region, right? So regions don't need parts, they just exist. Therefore, if I move over and look for the region, I should just randomly set on fire and die. I should. Not sure what's happening here. Maybe I commented out the region. What have I done here? I've done something silly here. I also was using the part. It's a bit silly. Oh, I see what I've done. So I added this ignore instance there, and obviously the part no longer exists, so it's not actually being used. So now it will work. Let's just walk around, and we'll suddenly, once we get into that region, which seems invisible but is actually there, we should sound I'm not sure what's going on right now. Why is it not working? It's really weird. There's no errors. Created the region. Finding the parts in the region here. No, it doesn't even say player found in region or anything. That is weird. That's very weird. I'm not sure what I've done here. Let's have a look again at this. Find parts in region. I'm not sure what's happened. Let's replace nil here with baseplate. So game workspace.baseplate. I have a feeling that might be why it's not working. If I go over to here where the zone should be, nothing's happening. So we've got a debug here. Let's print here, searching for parts in region. We've got the region, we've got everything here, so it should be working fine. I don't see why it's not. Searching for parts in region. Perhaps I'm walking in the wrong direction. It's so weird, I'm not really sure what's going on. If I create the part, if I just create the part anyway so we can see, will it work with the part created? Oh, okay, that's why. So I've actually put the zone at a y coordinate of 10, which means it's in the air. We obviously don't want it to be in the air. So we've removed the part again. Now if I walk over here, there we go, found me. And I die. Now, this should have helped you, but a lot of the time people want to do something a bit different. They want to, instead of just creating a region from a position, they want to create a region from a part that already exists. So say, let's say we have a part here, and we want to see if the player is within the area of this part. Yeah, we want to see whether the player is inside here. Now, obviously, what we've done here is we've created the part from the region. But what we're going to do, what we're going to do now is we're going to create the region from the part. So this is the part we're creating it from, and we'll call it region from this part. Okay, so we're going to create the region from that part, and the way we're going to do it is, so remember before I said that region 3s are created from the bottom right here and the bottom left position coordinate. It's a vector 3 value. Well, if we want to create a region 3 exactly the same size as this part, then we need this bottom right value and this top left value. And the way we do that is we see that this brick is of size whatever here. We can see the property. Look at where my mouse is. This is the size of the part. And we also know exactly where the position is. And the position is the very center of this part. See these green things? It's right in between those two. That's what the position represents. So if we want to find the two sides of this, any two sides will actually work with this, by the way, as long as they're not this one and this one, as long as they're like opposite sides like this, or like that, or like that, or across like that. Sorry, actually, not like that. They have to be from there to there, or there to there, or, you know, from the top to the bottom, opposites. So really it's not any parts, but whatever. So if we want to find two opposite corners, the way we're going to do that is we're going to take the position and then we're going to take away half of the size, because the position we've got is right in the center of this part. And that will give us the bottom corner. And then to get the top corner, we're going to take the middle and we're going to add half the size. That will give us the top corner. So it's actually very simple. So we're going to say the part is equal to, so the local region part, let's call it, is equal to game workspace region from this part. Yeah, we're going to create the region using this part, and then we're going to say region part. So we're going to create the. Before we do this, we're going to create the two positions. So we're going to call one pos1, and we're going to call the other one pos2, and they actually represent the bottom coordinate and the top coordinate. And we're going to say they're equal to. So remember what I said before. We're going to take the position of the region part, so region part dot position, and we're going to take away half of that part's size. So region part dot size divided by 2. And I'll put this in brackets because I can't remember how maths works, so I'm making sure this all works properly. And this will give us the position of the bottom right coordinate, and then to get the top right coordinate, we're just going to copy this all out again, but we're going to add them. And this will give us the top right coordinate. So we now have pos1 and pos2, and all we're going to do is we're going to remove 10 and 10 here with pos1, and 100 and 100, 100, 100, 100 with pos2. So we've now got our own region from this green part. I think I might spawn inside the part. Yeah, okay, I've spawned inside the part, so we're going to move the part over here. And that's the beauty of this. I can move the part around anywhere I want, and it will still make that region for me. So you can see I'm fine, and then when I walk over here, what happened to the part? I'm not really sure what happened there. Why has it deleted itself? Oh, it's not anchored. That's why. Okay, so we can walk over to the part here. We're fine. Once we get to the part itself, remember the region's been created from the part, not the other way around. Once we go inside it, you can see we set on fire immediately. That's how accurate it is, and die, exactly as we made it before. So if you have any questions about this, put them in the comments. Hopefully this video helped. This took me a very long time to figure all this stuff out. It's a long, it's definitely, this video was very long, half an hour, but the amount of time I've spent learning all of this stuff is probably more like 5 or 6 hours. So if you learn anything in this video, it's probably big help to you. If it wasn't, tell me, dislike the video, and leave a comment in the description if you have any questions about this. This is a sort of advanced part of scripting in that you need to know quite a lot of things before you can use this. I will publish this place to my group and put it in the description, although I don't think it'll be that useful for this. This should just tell you and help you understand how Region 3s work. You can also use Region 3s for a lot of other stuff, which I haven't gone into in this because it's not the main reasons I used. You can use it for making terrain and stuff like that. Maybe I'll make a video in the future about that. But mainly people use this for finding parts and other stuff like that. So thanks for watching. If you have any other video suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comments or questions, and thank you for watching.